Josh Heupel is officially the quarterback whisperer. If you didn't know already, it's official now. Huge commitment for the class of 2026 from over the weekend. We'll get into that, plus a big-time injury note. We got a loaded Monday show right here on Locked On Vols.
You are Locked On Vols, your daily podcast on the Tennessee Volunteers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, good Monday morning, everybody. Welcome into Locked On Vols. I am Eric Kane. I'm happy that you guys made Locked On Vols your first listen, your first watch here today. We got a fun show coming up here on a Monday. Josh Heupel, the quarterback whisperer, thanks to a big-time commit for the class of 2026. That in a matter of moments. Jourdan Thomas, injured for Tennessee football. What's this mean? Who's going to take his spot at the star position? That's coming up in segment number 2. Some more camp injuries, a camp schedule, and Christian Moore continuing to do Christian Moore things. Those notes in segment number 3. Big shout out over to FanDuel for making today's show possible. You can make every moment more over at FanDuel.com. Big thanks to FanDuel for making today's show possible. You can always watch us, listen to us, download us, all that for free wherever you get your podcast. Tell a friend. There's things to talk about right now. We got plenty to get into here today, so we need to continue to grow this show. Tell all your friends about Locked On Vols, and let's continue to build this show up. Again, it is completely free, and don't forget, if you have a question or a comment, send it in, and I'll get to it on tomorrow's show for the mailbag portion of it. All right, so Faizon Brandon officially commits to the University of Tennessee. We kind of preview that commitment along with Juan Gasson. Juan Gasson, offensive lineman for the class of 2025. Didn't know for sure if he was going to go to Georgia, but that was very much the thought process entering decision day. Tennessee had no clue. I mean, he didn't let Tennessee know if he was coming or not coming. And usually when the commits the prospects kind of go silent like that, it's an indication that they're not going to go to your team. Not always, but usually. And so Juan Gasson, the preview, the commitment preview that we looked at on Friday, he goes to Georgia. But for 2026, we also talked about Faizon Brandon, and he did come to Tennessee, and that one's been in the boat for a little bit. He's made a couple different visits to Tennessee already this spring and, over the course of the last couple of years. He is for the class of 2026, and he is a really, really good player. So in case if you missed Friday's show or you want to get a little bit more information on Faizon Brandon, here it is. According to the On3 industry rankings, he is a 5-star quarterback, the 10th player in the country for the class of 2026, the number 2 quarterback, and the number 2 prospect from the state of North Carolina. Look at the On3 specific rankings. He's a 4-star, and again, he's the 11th overall prospect in that class for 2026. So, quote-unquote a 4-star. He will be a 5-star, but he's number 11 in the class. So there are only 10 people better than him right now, according to On3. That just goes to show you how good he is. 247 Sports actually has him as the number 1 overall prospect in the class. So, according to 247 Sports, Tennessee signed the number 1 prospect for the class of 2026. And, things will change, rankings, especially for the class of 2026. There's a long time before those guys sign, but we know On3 had Nico Iamaleava as the number 1 overall recruit when he signed with the University of Tennessee out of the class of 2023. At this point in time, Faizon Brandon, according to the 247 Sports, is the number 1 overall prospect in that class. So if everything were to hold, then, we'll see if it does. Still a long way to go. According to some books, Tennessee would have reeled in the number 1 overall player in the class, twice out of the last 3 years, 2023's class and 2026's class. It's pretty phenomenal, or 4 years. It's pretty phenomenal, right? Just goes to show you what Josh Heupel's doing. And you look at what Josh Heupel's doing here. And, Faizon Brandon committed to Tennessee over Florida State, Alabama, NC State. He's from Grimsley, North Carolina. Tennessee certainly made a priority in North Carolina, dating back to James Pierce. You had Jalen Wright. That was the Jeremy Pruitt regime. But you had Jalen Wright, James Pierce here. This is, obviously he was recruited and brought to Tennessee by Josh Heupel's staff. You get Faizon Brandon committed to the class, very much in on David Sanders, the 5-star offensive tackle that's set to make his announcement between Tennessee, Ohio State, and Nebraska on August the 17th. And Tennessee continues to be sitting in what they believe is a pretty good spot, and we'll see if that can hold. And we'll see if Tennessee can fight off, obviously, Ohio State and Nebraska, who are not going to go anywhere. But point I'm trying to make here is Tennessee, historically, it's always been recruiting the Carolinas well. When Tennessee was at its best in the 90s and early 2000s, its roster was littered with prospects from North Carolina. And you're starting to see Tennessee kind of go back there. Tennessee needs to make North Carolina a priority, and it certainly did with James Pierce, Faizon Brandon, trying to finish off with David Sanders, and you're starting to see some relevancy there for the great state of Tennessee, the university, and trying to recruit out of North Carolina. But Faizon Brandon, the latest commit to Tennessee, getting 2026 class off to a great start, a fantastic start. He's the first commit for the class of 2026. We'll see if there's another commit or some more news maybe today or first of this week in terms of could there be another commit for Tennessee in the class of 2026. Wouldn't shock me in that regard, but certainly a great start for the University of Tennessee in that class. Now, Josh Heupel's a quarterback whisperer, okay? We knew about him playing at a high level, national championship, knew about him coaching the quarterback position, offensive coordinator, and then certainly on into a head coaching at UCF and here at Tennessee. We know he's still very hands-on in terms of the quarterbacks. We've seen what he and Joey Halsley had done with Hendon Hooker, a little bit with Joe Milton last year, and see what they're starting to do with Nico Iamaleava. We've already had our assumption and our opinions that Josh Heupel's a quarterback whisperer. But look at his classes that he's brought in here in terms of recruiting while being the head coach at Tennessee. Faizon Brandon, number 10 overall prospect, 5-star according to the On3 industry rankings for the class of 2026. George McIntyre, according to the On3 industry rankings, 50th prospect nationally, a 4-star prospect. He was as high as I want to say like in the... wasn't he in the teens before On3 did their rankings? But nonetheless, the industry rankings, the number 50 prospect in the class of 2025, a 4-star prospect. You look at Jake Merklinger, who is currently on campus. He was Tennessee's signee at quarterback for the class of 2024. According to the On3 industry rankings, he was national prospect 201, the 12th quarterback and the 23rd prospect from the state of Georgia. He is the outlier here in terms of being the quote-unquote lowest rated, or the highest, no, I guess we should say lowest rated recruit, depending on how you look at it. But still, one of the top 200 players in the country, not bad. That was Jake Merklinger for the class of 2024. Then you look over, of course, Nico Iamaleava, number 1 overall in the cycle for On3 in the class of 2023. The On3 industry rankings has him as the number 6 overall prospect, the 3rd quarterback and the 1st from the state of California. On3 had him as the number 1 overall player in the class. 247 had him as the number 2 overall player in the class. ESPN, which is a joke, had him at 23, and then Rivals had him at 2. So if you're looking at outlets that actually, do recruiting for a living and actually pay attention to it and make money doing it, it's On3, 247, and Rivals, and those respected outlets had Nico as the number 1 overall player, the number 2 overall player, and the number 2 overall player. So that was the class of 2023. When Josh Heupel was on the job, hired in January of 2021, and he was already behind the 8 ball a little bit in terms of trying to assemble his class, right? I don't really count the class of 2022 against him, though there were some pretty good players that were brought in that class. But, all the attention with the Ty Simpson. He chooses Alabama. Then Tennessee kind of pivoted and tried to, evaluate some of the other prospects that were out there. Sam Horn was one. Of course, he went on to, commit to Missouri, played baseball, and unfortunately has an injury there, from his pitching arm. But Tennessee went to Taven Jackson, and Taven Jackson, who is now at Indiana, entered the transfer portal. He was considered a 4-star rated prospect, the overall prospect number 186, and the 11th quarterback in the nation. So a really, really talented quarterback. And that was the first one that Josh Heupel signed. Then he went to Nico. We know about Nico. Then he went to Jake Merklinger. He's got George McIntyre committed right now, and he just picked up the commitment from Faizon Brandon, the number 1 overall quarterback in the class, according to On3 247, and the number 10 overall player in the class, of any position. So my point is, the proof's in the pudding here. You're seeing that Josh Heupel truly is a quarterback whisperer, not only on the field with the production and the stats, but off the field and recruiting. It got me thinking a little bit. What other head coach in college football has recruited the high school quarterback position as good or better than Josh Heupel in recent memory? Sure, there's been really, really good quarterbacks that have committed to Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State, USC, Texas. So on and so forth. I'm not trying to say Tennessee's gotten them all, but for one coach at one program that has done as good or a better job, the only program that came to mind, and please, if I'm mistaken here and I'm forgetting somebody that deserves some some conversation here on the pod, let me know. The only one that came to mind was Kirby Smart at Georgia, and I went back and I looked at his most recent classes. 2025, quarterback commit, 4-star from Ryan Montgomery. He is considered, these are all the On3 industry rankings, by the way, the 139th overall prospect in the class of 2025. 2026, they already have their quarterback, just like Tennessee does with Faizon Brandon. Number 8 overall player in the class of 5-star and Jared Curtis. That's a name we're very familiar with. If you're a Tennessee fan, Tennessee was recruiting him a little bit. So, pretty good stuff there. 2024 class, 4-star Ryan Puglisi, number 109 in the country, 4-star. Pretty good class there. Pretty good get there. I don't know if Georgia signed a quarterback in the class of 2023 because I couldn't find anyone anywhere. And, of course, they were kind of backloaded with quarterbacks anyway. 2022, of course, they got 4-star prospect number 149, Gunnar Stockton. 2021, 5-star, number 23 overall prospect in the country, Brock Vandegrift, who is now at Kentucky. In 2020, it was 4-star Carson Beck, who was number 225 in the country. And before that, the early years of Kirby Smart at Georgia, of course, he brought in Jacob Eason, Jake Fromm, and Justin Fields. So Kirby obviously has done a really, really good job. But here lately, in the last 3 to 4 cycles, nobody has done a better job at recruiting quarterbacks than Josh Heupel, and the commitment of Faizon Brandon, the number 10 overall prospect and a 5-star quarterback, is the latest proof in the pudding here at the University of Tennessee. All right, when we come back, a big-time injury for the Vols in the defensive secondary. What does this mean moving forward? How will it affect the rest of the roster? That's coming up next. We continue on here with a Monday edition of Locked On Vols. Stay tuned. Passion, drive, patience, the formula for winning championships is what also keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle leveled up to peak performance. From superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has got you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay's Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time, or your money is back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep a ride or die alive today at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit. It's only available to U.S. customers. All right, guys, thanks so much for making Locked On Vols your first listen of the day. For your second listen, I encourage you to check out Locked On College Football. That podcast, Spencer McLaughlin, get you ready for an exciting season on the gridiron, discussions on the upcoming season, and the ever-changing landscape of college athletics, including conference realignment, the transfer portal, NIL, new college football expanded playoffs, and so much more. That's Locked On College Football. It's available on YouTube, wherever you get your podcast. Locked On Podcast Network, where it is your team every single day. All right, so VolQuest broke the news Sunday morning that Tennessee's presumed starter at the star position, Jourdan Thomas, is going to be out for the year. Has an injury. He was actually seen at practice Sunday morning, on a scooter. He had a boot on. It's a lower body injury. At this time, I'm not exactly sure what it is, but we do know he is going to unfortunately be out for the remainder of the season. I covered his recruitment. One-time commit to Mississippi State, ended up flipping and signing with the University of Tennessee late, I want to say in that class of 2022, if memory serves me correct. Maybe it was 2023. But a guy that has unique skill set. He's got physicality. He's got speed and agility to keep up with wide receivers. He's got versatility, can play safety. He's been practicing at star a little bit the past couple of years, but he's already missed extended periods of time during his Tennessee career, and now this latest injury is going to cause him to miss the entire season. So what is Tennessee to do at the star position? We already knew coming into the year that Boo Carter, the talented in-state freshman, was going to be pushing Jourdan Thomas for playing time, for starts, for snaps at the star position. If you're listening or watching right now and you're saying, what does he mean by star position? The star position is the nickelback of the defense, okay? Gone are the days of the 4-3 defense, the traditional 4-3 defense, or the traditional 3-4 defense, or back in the day, the traditional 5-3 defense. You now have 5 defensive backs on the field at the same time, and it's trickled down, not only from college, NFL, college, it's in the high school realm as well. And different philosophies, different programs call that nickelback a different position. Like when I was at Jefferson County, we called it a Patriot. A lot of people call it a bandit. A lot of people call it a bulldog if your mascot's a bulldog. Whatever the case is, it's one of those, guys that play out of the box or inside the box, can play back in coverage, come up and run support. It's a hybrid safety linebacker, but a lot of times it's your third best cover corner. Like in the NFL, they use it more or less as a third best cover corner. Depending on the program you're in is the type of skill set and body type they want to use for that position. Here's a quote from Tim Banks at the beginning of fall camp. I asked the question actually because I was curious and I wanted it on record. I basically said, what do you want, a safety to play that star position or do you want a cornerback? Because for the most part, it's been a safety that's played the position. Now, Brandon Turnage played it a little bit back in 2021. He had that start against South Carolina, I believe, when he was actually SEC Defensive Player of the Week. Brandon Turnage is a cornerback body, but everybody else, Theo Jackson, Tamarion McDonald, Wesley Walker a little bit, and Jourdan Thomas, those have always been safety-like bodies. So I asked him, does it matter if it's a corner or a safety? What type of skill set are you looking for in the star position? Here's what he answered, quote, different places I've been, sometimes it's been more cornerish. Some places it's been more of a hybrid. I think here we've had the luxury to do a little bit of both. But that position is extremely important. We ask them to do a lot from the coverage perspective, but they also have to be great blitzers. They have to be able to come up and get off blocks. Got to be tough. You got to be tough to play that position. No ifs, ands, buts about it. So with Jourdan Thomas now out for the year, what is Tennessee to do? Well, the first name that comes to mind obviously is Boo Carter because we knew he was going to be pushing him anyway. Boo Carter's got such a dynamic skill set. I covered a lot of the games that he played in high school, and he is fun to watch with the ball in his hands. He's got that quote-unquote dog in him. When the lights are on, he shines the brightest. He's already been making plays at fall camp. He made a lot of plays in spring practice. He made a couple of plays in the orange and white game. So Boo Carter, of course, is going to be the first in line to kind of take up and take the most of those opportunities. But the question for Boo Carter is, at 5'11", 195, he has physicality in his game, but will he continue to grow and develop with the physicality around the line of scrimmage? A lot of times you're coming up there blitzing off the edge in certain packages, and you're having to take on a tight end. Sometimes you're having to take on an offensive tackle. He's very physical with his collisions, with his receivers, with the tight ends and coverage. He's very physical in coming down and helping with run support. But his at and around the line of scrimmage play, when asked and needed, the physicality there needs to still grow and develop. And that's okay. He's very, very young in his career. Also, for Boo Carter, even though he was here in spring, and that's great, and he's kind of going through his second camp-like setting, will he have enough grasp of the defense, of the schematics, of the playbooks, to be a day one starter for Tennessee at the star position? History would say no with Tim Banks and Willie Martinez. History would say no. But if he's your best option and you don't have any other options, I'm curious to see, if they would start him. And remember, even if he doesn't start play one, snap one against UTC, he will play a lot if healthy. He will play a lot, and then maybe he would overtake that and eventually earn that starting job. We'll have to see. But Boo Carter's the first name that comes to mind. The second name that comes to mind is Christian Charles. Christian Charles, much like Jourdan Thomas, has missed more action than seen action on the field due to injuries. Christian Charles came in and actually had a start at safety at Missouri as a true freshman, but was hurt early in that game, and then he had to miss 4 games after that. He played in 10 games as a sophomore in 2022 at cornerback, but did not play very well at cornerback. That was not really a good fit. In 2023, he played the first 2 games of the year at corner, didn't start, but played a little bit at corner, and then he tore his Achilles, and he was out the remaining 10 games. And then this past spring, and really this camp, he was kind of back at his normal safety position. But now they might ask him to shift down and play a little star. Christian Charles got experience. He knows what this league's all about. He's got versatility to his game. He's a veteran. He's seen action. And he's going to be a guy, in my opinion, that's going to be pushing for the starting job at cornerback, at star. Will he start? I don't know. We'll have to see how it plays out. But Christian Charles, who was called the X factor of the defense by Tim Banks last week, is going to be a guy that's going to be getting snaps this fall camp at the star position, especially now with the injury to Jourdan Thomas. So watch out for Christian Charles in there. Another one, I would consider him kind of the wild card, would be Jalen McMurray. Temple transfer coming over to provide depth and to be in that rotation at cornerback. Tennessee's a little bit thin at cornerback right now. Jalen McMurray's a little bit banged up right now, and so he's not been a full-go participant, but he should be back here soon. And when he does, not only will he be getting reps at cornerback, he'll also be getting reps at star as well. And I think this would be more just of a depth option, in my opinion. I think the majority of the snaps that Jalen McMurray, at least right now, that he's going to see would be at cornerback. But who knows? An injury like this, you have to be ready. Remember, Jalen McMurray was a second-team freshman All-American back in 2022 for the Temple Owls. He's been a 2-year starter at Temple. He's got career tackles, 90 in his career, 2.5 TFLs, 1 interceptions. He's got 12 PBUs. He's also recovered a pair of fumbles. He's going to be a guy that could get a look at the star position. 2 more. One is Christian Harrison, who's been primarily a special teams player throughout his first 2 years, primarily a cornerback. He was practicing safety, and really this fall camp, he's been getting already some looks at star as well. He was mentioned as one of the 3 players, along with Boo Carter and Jourdan Thomas, by Tim Banks, who's been repping at the star position to begin fall camp. He hasn't had a whole lot of playing time, but he is a name that will continue to get some reps at star. But another one that's intriguing would be Will Brooks. Will Brooks, walk-on, entering his 5th year in the program. He saw a lot of playing time in the secondary towards the end of last year because of all the injuries. Saw playing time at both star and saw playing time at safety as well. He's played in 35 career games. He's got 1 start, primarily a special teams contributor the last 4 years until having to step up and play a significant role last year in the secondary because of injuries. I know a lot of fans don't like it, but here it is. This is a fact. Tim Banks and Willie Martinez trust their veterans. Will Brooks is a veteran. They trust him. Will Brooks will play meaningful snaps for Tennessee this football season. Will he start? I don't know. He will be a key depth piece either at safety or at star now. That's just facts. That's just the fact of the matter. I'm not saying he'll play 50 snaps, but Will Brooks will play meaningful snaps for Tennessee this year. The question now is, with the injury to Jourdan Thomas, will it be star where he has a lot of experience, or will it be at safety? He is a safety by nature. I think a lot of that depends on the development and the growth of MTSU transfer Jacoby Thomas and second-year sophomore John Slaughter. If the game begins to slow down for those guys and they begin to really find a home and start to grow and develop this fall camp at safety along with Andre Turrentine, then I think Will Brooks can get more of a look at star because safety would be okay. If that doesn't happen, expect Will Brooks to be one of the first off the bench at the safety position. So those are the names to keep in mind due to the injury of Jourdan Thomas. I hate it for Jourdan Thomas, good kid. Again, covered his recruitment. I really, really enjoyed his recruitment. And I hate the fact that he's going to miss this year. But the game goes on. So will it be Boo Carter, who I think when it's all said and done it will be? Could it be Christian Charles, Jalen McMurray, Will Brooks, or Christian Harrison? We will find out as fall camp continues to roll on for the University of Tennessee here on a Monday morning. Hey, we'll come back. We'll talk about some other injuries for Tennessee in fall camp, a camp schedule for this week, and get a look at Christian Moore, who is now in Double-A for the Angels after being drafted number 8 overall last month. That is coming up next as we continue on here with a Monday edition of Locked On Vols. Stay tuned. I want to say about our friends over at FanDuel Sportsbook. FanDuel is America's #1 sportsbook. It's the official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball, and it's where you can make every single moment more over at FanDuel.com. I love sports. I know you love sports, but here in the summer months, sports aren't sporting like I need them to, but they're always sporting. They're always going on at a rapid pace over at FanDuel.com. They keep the sports going whenever I want. All I have to do is open the safe, secure, easy-to-use app, dream up any bets anytime that I am in the mood. And the best part about it is this summer long, here to end the summer in the month of August, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or a bonus daily. That's right, a daily boost or a bonus over at FanDuel.com on that app. Not just for new customers, not just for existing customers, for everybody. It's a boost or a bonus daily here in the summer months. So head on over to FanDuel.com. Start making the most out of your summer. FanDuel is the official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball. FanDuel is America's #1 sportsbook. All right, so practice number 4 was in the books on a Sunday morning, was over there at the University of Tennessee, and took some notes, as I always do, practice observations that maybe you read over at VolQuest.com. Big news of the day was Jourdan Thomas's injury. We discussed that ad nauseum there in the second segment. Some other guys who continue to be banged up a little bit. Cam Seldon's in that red non-contact jersey. We knew that coming into fall camp, and we'll see if he's getting closer and closer. And it feels like he's ahead of schedule, and we'll see eventually if that red jersey is is kind of relinquished a little bit, and he's taken some more contact in practice. And it's important for everybody to have contact in fall. It doesn't have to be an awful lot, even for some veterans like Cooper Mays, Brew McCoy, Keenan Peely, but you need some for sure, or it's going to be a rude awakening when you get in the football game. Cam Seldon's still in that red non-contact jersey, but he is ahead of schedule, and that's what everybody continues to say. Linebacker Jordan Burns, quarterback Jalen McMurray, who we spoke on the previous segment, and wide receiver, former 5-star wide receiver Mike Matthews, continuing to go through stretches and being limited participants in camp right now, really off to the side, kind of doing their own thing, kind of dealing with some minor injuries right now. It feels like the injury bugs kind of hit Tennessee, not in a major way, not in a concerning way, but Tennessee's always going to err on the side of caution anytime, but also this early in fall camp, because if you have something nagging and something that's just minor, you don't want to make it worse here in the first month of August, because if it's feeling bad here in the first month of August, what could it feel like mid-October when you're going through the gauntlet of your SEC schedule? They're going to take it easy. So a lot of these guys are kind of nursing themselves back a little bit, and they should be back here to full participants here pretty soon. A couple of guys that I noticed that appeared to be somewhat limited, and again, we get practice viewing time like about 20 minutes, and 7 of those minutes they're stretching. So there is so much that happens when we're not there, and I always want to make that a big disclaimer. But while we were there Sunday morning in the media, it appeared that wide receiver Dante Thornton and offensive lineman Andre Keurig and John Campbell were maybe somewhat of a limited participants. They all had their helmets. They were all, in individual drills standing over there, and I saw some of them doing some reps, but I saw them also kind of lurking and looming around off to the side a little bit. So, again, if it was anything, same with Lance Hurd, who actually was out there doing one-on-ones against James Pierce on Sunday, so just goes to show you that he's appears to be A-okay. Just goes to show you that they're going to be smart with some of the load management of their veterans as fall camp goes on. But we'll keep an eye on all that. You look at the camp schedule here for this week. Tennessee practiced on Sunday morning. Tennessee will practice again this morning at about 9 o'clock. There will be media shortly thereafter. Offensive line coach Glenn Ellerby and some of the freshman offensive linemen. Tuesday will be an off day. They'll come back on they'll come back on Wednesday, practice in the morning. Rodney Garner will grace the media with his presence after that practice on Wednesday. On Thursday, they'll be practice in the morning, and then wide receivers coach Kelsey Pope will speak to the media. And then on Friday, it will be a scrimmage day. It'll be a night scrimmage at Neyland Stadium, 7 o'clock. It's going to be closed to the media, but Josh Heupel will speak to the media shortly after that and kind of let everybody know how that went down on Friday night. It'll be an off day on Saturday, and then Tennessee will be back on the practice field next Sunday morning on August the 11th. So, little one-on-one. The intensity was ramped up a little bit. Second day of shoulder pads was Sunday morning, and Tennessee did some one-on-one battles. It was a really good battle with Lance Hurd and James Pierce kind of going at it. Two of the better, players on Tennessee's, roster, certainly the line of scrimmage. Cooper Mays won a one-on-one battle, as did Jackson Lampley. Jesse Perry won a one-on-one battle. William Satterwright won a one-on-one battle. You had Bryson Eason, James Pierce, Jackson Moy, Joshua Josephs. All those guys won a one-on-one battle. James Pierce won a couple really, really good-looking ones. As we were walking off, some of the skilled players joined the battle and did some one-on-ones. There were makeshift one-on-ones, whether it was a running back holding the ball and, starting at a pad's length away from the defender and trying to run over him or whatever the case is. Eli Purcell, who is a local kid, walk-on, transferred over here to Tennessee, I believe, from Wofford this offseason. He and Khalifa Keith, big running back, they went twice that I saw, and Purcell won one time and Keith won the other. It was kind of a stalemate. Holden Stays barreled over a defensive back, or maybe it was a linebacker, I can't remember, and one of his one-on-ones. But nonetheless, point is, intensity was ramping up a little bit Sunday morning, and that was the second full padded practice. They should be in full pads this morning, unless it's a 3-day part of the acclimation period for Shells. But they should be in full pads this morning, but of course we'll see when we get over there. So plenty of stuff coming out of Tennessee fall camp. Unfortunately, the news of the day on Sunday was an injury, a season-ending injury to Jourdan Thomas. Hate that for him. He was the projected starter at the star position. Now one of the big storylines, not only is the secondary overall, but it's who's going to start at the star position now for sure. It makes a question mark even that much bolder I guess, heading through a fall camp. So we need to see some guys step up and obviously progress. Hey, out the door, wanted to take a look at Christian Moore. Of course, Christian Moore, Tennessee baseball legend, the SEC Play Triple Crown Award winner, hit for a cycle in the College World Series, had 34 home runs this year as a junior at Tennessee, single season home run king, the program record home run king, All-American. List goes on, accomplishments go on and on for Christian Moore, and he has picked up right where he left off from his junior season here at Tennessee, national championship season. He was drafted, of course, 8th overall by the Los Angeles Angels. They assigned him to their low A team. They signed him to their low A team, the Inland Empire, the 66ers, and he played 2 games. Okay, I think he doubled in his first at bat, and I think he homered in his first game. Played 2 games there. They advanced him. They promoted him up to the Double A club, which Tennessee Smokies fans of the Southern League will know this team very, very well, and that was the Rocket City Trash Pandas. He played in his first game on Saturday, had a single in his first game, and then he homered in Sunday's game against, let's see here. It was Saturday, actually. He homered. Yeah, Saturday. Get my days confused. He homered in Saturday's 13-4 loss to the Biloxi Shuckers. Finished 2 for 4 with 2 home runs and an RBI. 2 runs scored and an RBI. Christian Moore is just continuing to do everything that's put in front of him. Will he be a September call-up? I don't know. I mean, again, college players are on an accelerated path. You see Ben Joyce locking down his first career save, hitting 104 miles per hour Saturday night for the LA Angels. That's awesome to see. I know college players are on an accelerated path. We'll see. September call-ups, the roster expands a little bit. I mean, at this rate, Christian Moore certainly could do that. It's happened before here in recent memory. But boy, he's making it very interesting to be obviously invited to big league camp next year for spring practice, for spring training, and then how quickly can he be reaching the big league club and being an everyday player. Great start for Christian Moore, who homered in his first game with Double-A Rocket City Trash Pandas against the Biloxi Shuckers on Saturday night, finishing 2 for 4 with 2 runs score and that RBI. So good luck to Christian Moore. He continues to do what SEMO does. All right, guys, can't thank you enough for making Locked On Vols your first listen, your first watch here on a Monday morning. Make that the second listen, that second watch, Locked On College Football, Locked On SEC. Support the Locked On channels, if you will. We got the mailbag show coming up tomorrow, so any questions, any comments, any concerns you guys have at _Caner at Locked On Vols, and of course you can fill up the comment section right here on the YouTube channel as well. Tell your friends about this show. Let's continue to grow it. Let's continue to make this a part of your morning routine during football season. And subscribe if you haven't already on the YouTube channel. And, of course, wherever you get your podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Subscribe and download these episodes. Can't thank you guys enough. Appreciate you for being here. Thank you so much, everydayers. We'll get to your questions tomorrow. This is Locked On Vols.